Hello, welcome to Conway Video. In this video I'd like to talk about the subject of getting hired and getting a job. And as someone who's been working for quite a number of years, I worked for over 30 different companies, and also so I've been hired 30 different times or more, and then I've also failed at definitely orders of magnitude more than that number. And as someone who's had that sort of experience, I think I can definitely say that there are lots of different reasons that you can get hired and also that you can get rejected. And I think it can be really a useful thought experiment to just think through some of those reasons, because I found that often, we tend to internalize it. We tend to think that whether we got hired or not is a reflection on us, on ourselves personally, and I found that most of the time it's not really the case. Definitely who you are and your inner self has something to do with it, but there's always a lot of other factors to do with getting hired. Factors around the economy, the job market, factors around the situation of the business that you're looking to get into, and your own personal situation as well. And so I thought I would just share with you a few of the reasons that I've come across that you can get hired. And some of these I kind of knew right off the bat. Before I got hired, I kind of knew that there was a good chance that I would get hired for some of these reasons. But other reasons I found quite surprising. They weren't things I'd really thought about, but in retrospect, when I look back at the sort of jobs I was hired for, then it makes sense that I got hired for those reasons. So a few of those reasons, as I said, they're to do with the situation that yourself and the client find yourselves in. And so a few of those would include things like the job market for the kind of skill set that you're in. So, for example, if you're a Java developer and the job market happens to be very tight in terms of supply of Java developers, so basically you're a Java developer and there aren't many people around who can do that in that location where you are, well then you're going to be very highly sought after. And the clients who hire you, if their requirements are urgent enough, they might hire you even despite you not having all of the qualifications they need, just because you've got that one essential skill set of Java. And as I sort of mentioned just now, actually, geography can also play into it. Physically, where are you located in the world? Again, it might not be something we think about very often. We just kind of don't really notice that we happen to be located in one part of the world, maybe near one particular city or another city. But location can have a good deal to do with what sort of opportunities you have and what the job market is like and how many companies are hiring in your area. Also, I found that there can be cycles that markets can go through. And some of these are really big cycles, like the state of the economy in your country. So if the economy is doing really well, there could be a lot of jobs. Or if the economy is doing poorly, there could be less jobs. And then also there are smaller cycles within those larger cycles. So I've found that certain technologies have a kind of a cycle. There'll be a real big demand for someone with, say, SQL skills, and then over time maybe the SQL market will drop off because some other database technology will come in, or businesses just don't really need that many SQL developers. They've already hired all the people they need. It can also be very industry specific. So maybe a certain group of industries are going through a transformational period, and so all those companies are now competing with each other to transform, and because of that intense competition and that need to transform, they're hiring a lot of people, so that industry does well for a few years. And then once all the transformation work is done, it just goes into sort of business as usual, and then the market kind of slows down and there isn't such a need. So this is where I guess timing really comes into it. So we've already looked at supply and demand of skills. We've looked at geography. Timing can also be a big one. At what time are you entering the market? And so we've got those large economic cycles, and then we've got the smaller kind of industry-specific cycles. And then a third kind of cycle I've noticed is, funnily enough, seasonal cycles. I mean, there are certain times of the year where people are more likely to be going on holiday or taking leave, and there are certain times of the year that people are going to be working hard. And some of those times when people are away, that might be a good chance for you to then get into the market because they need someone to be on the ground doing the work. And so this can also definitely play into availability. So when are you available to work? Now, you might feel that you're not really good enough to qualify for a certain job because that you need to have 12 years experience and this framework and that framework and degree and financial knowledge or medical knowledge or whatever it is. But actually, if you were to time your application the right way, then you might actually get a chance to get that job, because if they need that job done really urgently, sometimes the company will take on someone who's a little bit junior or a little bit not quite qualified, just because it's much better for them to have someone who's actually there in the office doing the job than to just have no one. And so a big advantage that you can display to an employer is just literally availability, just being willing to be there and just hit the ground running, because you would be surprised how many really qualified people who are like the perfect candidates or whatever, they get busy. They have lives too, they get tied up. Maybe they go on holidays, maybe they get married, maybe they get a new job somewhere else, maybe they're really busy in their current job and they can't move. And so when companies are really desperately looking for that talent, you can be that person who's there at the right time to say, hey, you should give me a go. I'm not like fully qualified, but I'm here, I'm ready to work, and you can be that candidate who's there at the right time. So I find timing can come into it. Now, of course, being a white guy who's able-bodied, I think definitely privilege comes into it as well. And unfortunately, that's definitely a factor. But I suppose the flip side of that is that companies are beginning to look at being more diverse and hiring more diverse candidates, and also just that there are all these other factors that I mentioned that can also play into it that can offset that. So there are factors of timing, skill sets that companies need. Some other factors, these are more random things, but some companies need a big lead time to hire someone because they might need to do security clearances or security checks. So if you can be that person who can, go in and get all the checks done early and be available to work, then they might well choose you over someone who's a little bit more qualified or a little bit more what they wanted, but they would have to wait months and months to hire that person. And so, yeah, we can look at all these different factors: geography, where you're located, the state of the job market, the economy, and the cycles. We can look at the timing and time of the year and things like that. We could look at just simple availability, and already there's a whole set of factors that you can work with and look for those gaps in the job market where the companies are looking to hire someone, and you can be that person who's just the right puzzle piece at the right time. Thank you for watching.